That's better there. That was better there. Now, what I'm doing, oddly enough, is this. If I can get you firm here, I can get this to fold.
When the best golfers in the world need to sharpen their skills, they look for the best teacher in the world. And over 100 touring pros look to Jimmy Ballard's Golf Workshop at Doral Resort and Country Club in Miami, Florida for that competitive edge. Like Jimmy Ballard, the Doral name stands for excellence. Spread over 2,400 acres, Doral offers sun and relaxation, as well as exercise and recreation. It's the home of the luxurious Doral Saturnia International Spa Resort, nationally recognized as one of the top spas in the eastern United States. But it's championship golf that Doral is best known for. 99 challenging holes spread over 6 courses, including the infamous Blue Monster, site of the Doral Open on the PGA Tour since 1962. At Doral, the adage "practice makes perfect" rings loud and clear. A lighted driving range on the resort side offers guests a constant workout. And if you need assistance with your swing, then head down the range to the Jimmy Ballard Golf Workshop, where high handicappers and scratch players practice the true fundamentals under the watchful eye of Jimmy Ballard. Jimmy has been teaching golf for nearly 3 decades, and over that time he's devised a definitive and organized method to enable golfers to understand the fundamental golf swing. For years, he studied the great ball strikers, Hogan, Snead, Nelson, and found similarities in all their swings. Today, along with his staff of teaching professionals, Jimmy Ballard connects golf swings with the proper fundamentals. Through classroom workshops that allow students to see the right moves, to personally videotape sessions on the practice tee, Jimmy Ballard emphatically proves that the golf swing is nothing more than a natural athletic move. Ballard is best known for his work with successful touring pros like Curtis Strange, Sandy Lyle, Seve Ballesteros, and Hal Sutton. But it's working with amateur players of all levels, men and women, young and old, that he finds most rewarding. Each week, Jimmy looks at hundreds of swings. He is a student of the game. And for 30 years, he has studied the fundamental golf swing.
Yeah. Now that's what I call a good golf swing.
That good golf swing belongs to Artie McNichol, Jimmy's #1 assistant. Today they will demonstrate golf's touch shots, the pitch shot, the bunker shot, and the chip shot, and how connection is a part of each one.
Now let's talk about pitch shots, which probably is the hardest shot in golf to judge distances in because of the way people, they're so afraid of it. Now, and I think the main reason people are afraid of pitch shots is, again, they've always been told to hold the body perfectly still and to swing with the arms. Well, you're in between clubs, actually, is what happens. It's not a full shot. So therefore, how could you judge distances by standing still and trying to toss a ball 50 yards or 30 yards with your arms? Obviously, the natural way would, again, be just like the full shot. The miniature of the full shot. You shift to your right. Your hands and arms might go waist high. They might go just a little higher, depending on the distance that you want to feel. When you set up to hit this shot from 30, 40, 50 yards out, you first want to just kind of in your mind think about where would you get into your right leg to toss the ball. And then you can see how you would get the feel of how far you have to hit the ball. Artie, I think it would be a good point here to let people understand again the importance of the feet and legs. When you take your position, you're bracing your legs, feeling the inside, you're setting the triangle. But more important than anything else here in this shot, and I think that people feel, is they always ask us, how far do you take it back? Where do you take the club? Well, obviously, again, you take it where you can feel that which you would make the tossing motion. And if you talk about a few things here, I would appreciate it.
I think that, again, you can't tell a person exactly how far to take it back because the tossing motion, you wouldn't think about it. Maybe if I could just toss one, then try to hit one one-sided like a tossing motion, it might illustrate it. If I were tossing it to that flag, I'd toss it underhanded about like that.
Now stay where you are and notice where Artie's head and eyes, body, the whole right side released. to toss it there. Now do a one-handed shot with just the right hand in a tossing motion. Now again, notice how the right side worked exactly as it did when he tossed the ball. He can bring his body back around, set it down, it's square where he started. Now, the only role the left arm plays here, it's connected, it's the inner force, the centrifugal force. It's going to hold the club in position as far as connection goes, but the motion is back to the right leg. You see a slight weight shift back to the right, then his weight shift is through to the left. Do it again, Artie. Take it back waist high. From here, you can see he has the triangle. If he wanted to hit it further, he'd just take it up a little further, but it's still the triangle. And then, of course, in the big shot, it would be on plane. So you can see from there, we still have the triangle. He makes the tossing motion. Where is he now? The left elbow's folded down. He's facing the target. The butt of the club is in the center of the triangle. So that's maintaining the original position, holding the triangle, pitching the basketball, as you could term it, throwing the medicine ball underhanded. That's your underhanded tossing motion, feeling the distance with the feet and legs. Already hit a couple of shots here now.
Yeah.
Well, were you aiming at that hole?
Sure, I was aiming at the hole.
Oh, okay. Let's talk a little bit about ball positioning again on the, and I think it's important that everybody understands, and we say this with the full shots, with the short shots, and it applies everywhere. The basic position would be the ball off your inside of your left heel. That's where your normal trajectory would be. And then if we wanted to hit it high, we preset the blade open, or we can set the blade square, and you can see from there the ball is still forward in one, but both of them will hit the ball on a fairly high trajectory. By presetting it open, it only hits it higher because you preset more loft. Now, if you wanted to hit the low skidding shot in there, you got a good little wind blowing in your face, you move the ball back in the stance, but again, I already show them how the triangle and everything moves back, not an angle. You don't put your hands forward creating an angle, you move the ball back.
This would be normal.
Okay.
This would be moving the ball back and creating an angle, which we see most of our students trying to do.
Which is real bad. As you can see, the butt of the club is out of the triangle, creating an angle. There's no way he can square the club up if he presets that big an angle. Now, put the ball back, set the triangle. Now everything is square, and the chip shot, the pitch shot, can be hit solid because there's no angles. And then that drives the ball on a much lower trajectory.
Absolutely. It's got to be a tossing motion.
Let's talk a little now about some different types of lies you'll catch around like this. From the fact that if you had a little bit of a downhill lie here, you might show how, again, you'd have to level up if your feet were here and your left foot's lower than your right. So from there,
this would be leaning with the slope. I would not be able to use my feet and legs.
Show them what would happen if you took it away and you maintained there. The weight would stay over the ball or in front of the ball, and then the next move back, the weight automatically shifts back, and you'd hit the slope because it's coming down behind the ball and blade the ball on the upswing.
If I got to the ball.
If you got to the ball. Now the idea, watch him level up here. He levels his body so that the weight can shift to the right, and then he can hit down and through the ball, even on the little chip. Now let's hit a couple from the uphill slope. And again, it's the same principle. You need to balance yourself, level yourself up. You can see the natural slope would make him tilt, so we're going to lean into the slope, get our weight evenly distributed. From here, he can make a little weight shift to the right leg and then to the left. Very good. And notice all the time, he's driving through the ball, never hanging back, staying behind it. The head and eyes are always at the target, even on the short shots. You have to release to the target. I'd like to talk with you a little bit about bunker shots, and I want you to understand that the bunker shots are exactly like the full shot, with the exception of how you measure to the ball. Let's talk a little bit here now about how we apply this in the bunker shot here, Artie. Let's talk a little bit first about position and the difference in measuring to the ball that we talked about earlier. I want them to understand the difference in hitting the bottom of the ball and measuring to the sand.
Sure. First thing you're going to do, especially on a windy day like this, you're going to probably dig in a little bit just so you can brace your body a little bit. Now, bunker shots are different than other shots in the fact that you measure to a different spot. What we've talked to you before about, you're always trying to hit the ball and then turf. That's how you'd hit a regular shot. You would measure to the back and the bottom of the ball. Well, bunker shots are different in that you would measure to a spot somewhere behind the ball. Now, that, of course, would depend upon the texture of the sand. Now, if you're going to measure somewhere behind the ball, you deliver a descending blow into the sand, creating a cushion of sand between the ball and the club face. And bunker shots are hit that way. You hit sand, then ball. Regular shots are ball first. Now, sand wedges are made to do that for you. First thing you've got to recognize is sand wedges have been designed with what we call bounce, meaning that the flange down here is rounded so that the leading edge is a little bit higher than the base of the club. That gives a little bit of a bounce here so that when the club enters the sand, it doesn't dig, but it goes through the sand, allowing you to hit behind the ball into the sand, creating that cushion of sand, and that's how you can hit a soft shot. So with bounce, the leading edge isn't flush like it would normally be with the ground. There's a little bounce on there. Leading edge is raised a little bit, and that allows the club to enter the sand and bounce through it.
Artie, if you would now, just show them that, again, let's make sure everyone understands that you're measuring to a point behind the ball. And as you said before, that's where you're hitting, not the ball, to blast the ball from the sand. How far you measure behind it depends on, as you said, the texture of the sand, but also it depends on the distance.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you'd hit a little closer to the ball for the longer explosion. You'd hit further back for the short flop shot. But there again, let's demonstrate that. And I want to do it this way. Let's first show them playing all the shots with the blade square and just a normal trajectory blast from the sand with a normal lie, just a good lie as we have here.
And I'm not narrowing my stance too much. It's a little bit narrower than a full shot because it's not a full golf shot. But I'm a little bit narrow with my heels. I'm braced. I'm digging into the sand. I've squared the blade up, and I've measured to a spot somewhere behind the ball, and I'm just going to hit an explosion shot hitting the sand first.
Good. Now, that's with a normal trajectory. And notice how Artie has released his body. Notice how the left arm is folded down, and he's in the balanced position, the same as a full shot. He can turn his body back, set the club down, and it's square where he started. Now, let's show them how to hit the same type of shot, but this time we're going to hit it on a little higher trajectory. We're going to set our body open a little, Artie, if you'll go through it, and we're going to preset the blade open. This is the cut shot if you had a higher, even higher lip than we have here, to where you would hit the ball on the higher trajectory and get it up fast.
If this were my line of flight right through here, I'd set my body open a little bit, and then within my hands, right now I have a square blade, within my hands, I'd set the blade open. That simply gives me more loft.
And notice also, though, Artie still maintained the triangle that he had when he started. He did not set his hands forward by opening the blade with his hands and arms. He preset the blade in his hands. Now, Artie, if you will, show them the wrong way again. Set the blade back and set the hands, open the blade by pushing your hands forward. That's creating an angle, taking the club out of the triangle, and from there can be very serious trouble of hitting under and catching the ball on the upswing. People would hit the sand, but then they hit the ball on the upswing, they block through it, and that's the result of the blade. If Artie sits here now and presets, keeps the triangle, presets the blade open, now he can release the club by hitting the sand and down and through the ball, and that's all the difference in the world in hitting the sand on the descending blow and not hitting the sand coming up and across it. So do that for us now. With the blade set open, There's the high, soft flop shot. And there again, if we want to hit it further, you can do it, Artie, with the open blade again. Let's hit it harder. That's all we do. He simply speeds up the swing with his feet and legs to be more aggressive. Now he hits the shot a little further. And all of this distance is judged by the feet and legs. Talk about chipping the ball, the little pitch shots around the greens. This is where you can really save shots in a round of golf. These are the really important stroke savers. Artie, if you would, again, we want everyone to understand that it's nothing but a miniature of the big swing. It can be kind of waist high to waist high, knee high to knee high. Just talk a little bit, if you will, about the triangle, how we set up, and about the fact it's the same motion and maintaining connection.
Sure, it's just like a little tossing motion. You'd feel that distance with your feet and legs. In setting up, I certainly am not going to be shoulder width because I'm trying to use finesse with my feet and legs and not power. When I connect my left arm to my shoulder and I form my triangle, it's real crucial to keep this triangle between my hands and my shoulders formed by my arms together. That way I can make sure I maintain connection, and that's the way I can use my feet, legs, and my body. Instead of head high to head high in a little pitch shot, you might be ankle high to ankle high or knee high to knee high, but that's where your triangle really remains intact. I'm using a little pitching wedge.
Artie, you hit that shot with your feet and legs, don't you?
Certainly. I'll tell you something very interesting that happened in one of our workshops. Rick Berry was there, and I was trying to describe how you feel distance with your feet and legs, both power and finesse. And he started to laugh, and they used to ask him to go to a particular spot on the basketball floor. He'd either blindfold himself or he'd close his eyes, and he'd feel the distance to the basket with his knees and his feet and legs. That way I could look at you and shoot over here because I'd know where I was on the basketball floor, and that distance would be felt in the feet and legs. All sports are identical. Feet and legs are crucial even in the most miniature of shots.
And that means even on your little chip shots, there's a little weight shift, a little feeling of the weight into your right leg and to your left in even the most delicate of the little pitches, right?
Certainly. I can avoid choking to a degree if I rely again on my big muscles.
And there's no way you can stand flat-footed, dead-legged, and feel distance with your hands and arms with your head down. Yet, it's been instructions in golf for a lot of years.
Certainly.
The great chippers pitch the ball with the feet and legs.
Exactly like the full swing.
Right. Now, from here, we again talking about some shots. You can hit it with a pitching wedge, depending on the trajectory of shots you want. You may take a 7-iron, a 6-iron, a 5-iron, an 8-iron, depending on how much you want to roll the ball. You want to discuss that a little bit and the way you would feel that?
Sure. I just try to change clubs. I want to take advantage of my different clubs. We brought a wedge, a pitching wedge. That's the first shot I hit. I took an 8-iron out. I'd just be changing the loft, and I'd let it roll a little further. I'd still be making the same motion. You know, I think a lot of the amateurs, they're so instructed that a short shot is different than a full shot. You see them configure their body in such a strange way, like you say, keep your head down, get your hands in front of it, use your hands and arms and no body. How, again, would you go to the next tee and expect to make a good athletic move with connection?
Well, I think that's a good point. And another thing here I'd like to, for the people to see, show when you set up how you set up with the triangle, then set up with the angles we're talking about, and let's let people understand why they hit some of the bad shots they hit when chipping. Set up square and right for me first. Now everything there, and show how the triangle and everything can shift back to the right. Just make a little motion back for us and let them see that. Just a little motion back. There's the triangle still intact. Now show how the legs go through and the triangle releases with it, and the club's still in the center. Now there again, the drill of the club through the chest, if you will, Artie. This is a particular good thing to do around the greens because everything is together. Notice how when he holds the club here, he moves the club with his body. He has to feel the feet and legs. So now when he grips the club down on the grip, we just maintain, just like there's an extension from there to there, the triangle back together. Hit one, Artie, and show them together and through, together. There's your triangle. On the chip shots, on the pitch shots, on everything. But you can really feel it and work on it on the short shots because you can maintain it all the way because the right side never breaks to go up on the little pitch shots. Show presetting your hands in front a little, if you will. Now here again, this is the wrong way. We see people get in, they set the hands up here. I want you to see from here, there's no way you could release that club. All you could do is gouge it and hit up on the ball. Now show the difference in, there's no extension through the ball here. The arc is very short. Now, bring it back to here and release it with a triangle. Look at the difference in the club being extended. The club is in the center, and it's also square where it started. So therefore, if there's no angles and everything is firm, you can chip the ball to the hole with no angles. Another thing that I think people are misled by, they're told to chip the ball, to pitch the ball, to cock their wrist. The second you cock your wrist, you created such an angle, there's no way you can square the club back to square the club up, period. You could either drag it across the line and block it, or you could flip your hand. But if you take the triangle back together, the arms, the folding here is together, and the feet and legs work, and therefore everything is firm and everything is released and maintained square throughout the swing. That way, the loft of the club is lifting the ball, not the person.
Sure, and anytime you set an angle with your hands, again, you'd be relying on muscles that'll choke more than your big muscles.
And a great way to feel that, if people, want to relate to that, is go ahead and try to chip a ball and cock your wrist and just see if you really think you could hit it from there. Or sit there and take the club and swing it here, and you can feel how every time you can square the club up. These little drills are important. Let's review what we talked about today. The pitch shot is just a miniature of the full shot. It's a waist-high to waist-high feeling. It can be a knee-high to knee-high. But still, you're keeping the triangle intact, and the butt of the club is in the center of the body throughout the swing. Now, the sand wedge is built with a flange on it so that it won't dig, and so there'll be some bounce to the club. Now, remember, you always hit the sand first and hit a descending blow down and through the ball. And finally, when chipping the ball, remember, we measure distance with our feet and legs, very similar to tossing a coin underhanded. And remember, never create any angle. Now take these fundamentals to the practice tee and work on them.
Next week on Jimmy Ballard, the fundamental golf swing.
What I want you to understand is that the putting stroke is nothing but a miniature of the big golf swing.
All this next week on Jimmy Ballard, the fundamental golf swing. The preceding has been a production of Reed Dolph Incorporated.